Hey everyone, Christy Arnett here, and to talk strategy, I've got Matt Graham in the house. Thank you so much for coming by.
No problem.
Okay, so the topic at hand today is playing small pairs in a tournament pre-flop. So let's start out early in a tournament, blinds are low, and you've got a decent starting stack, let's say 10,000, blinds are 25-50. When you've got those small pairs, 2s through 7s, do you advocate limping, or what do you want to do?
No, you should always raise with a deep stack in a pair because it has so much value post flop. You want to build a pot. If you limp for 50 and a couple more limpers, now there's only 250 chips in the pot, and it's hard to get your whole stack in. Whereas if you had raised to 150 or even 125 or even min raise, like you can min raise small pairs, just build the pot a little bit so that you can get paid bigger when you flop a set.
Okay.
You also take an initiative in the hand. If you only get called in like one or two spots, you might be able to see bet and take it down.
Okay, so you're saying like early in tournaments, if players want to play their hand, they're going to play it for 50 or 150. So, and if they call a raise, they're going to be more attached to the pot.
Yes.
If you do flop a set.
You're playing a bigger pot and you have control of the pot.
Okay, so you get later in tournaments and the blinds are bigger and people playing less hands. Do you still want to be raising those small pairs?
Yeah, because you should be stealing blinds a lot late in tournaments anyway, or in medium stages or wherever. So, now you have a hand you're stealing with, and if you do get called, you have a pair, and you, like I said before, you can still see bet and win. Or if you flop a set in mid to deep stages, a lot of times you get your whole stacking because you're not quite as deep.
Okay. What about when you're in late position or on the button and you've got like 3 limpers in front of you? Do you still raise? Because I feel like...
No, I usually over limp. When they're,
okay.
Yeah, okay. I over limp, I just don't open limp.
Okay.
Yeah, and depending on the limper, you can also raise as well. But generally, if there's 3 limpers, depending on my stack, I'm probably just going to want to limp because there's a lot of value going to the flop multi-way with a small pair, obviously. So you don't want to drive them out. But if there's like 1 limper, you might want to attack it because it's not going to be that multi-way anyway. So
definitely. What about calling raises with small pairs?
You definitely want to have a lot of chips behind us to call a raise with a small pair. A lot of people make a mistake of calling way too high a percentage of their chips pre-flop and set mining, and then they miss and they just bleed chips way too fast. You don't want to call off. You want to have about 15 times what the bet is in your stack to where for implied odds, but usually more, and depending on the player, even that it's not that great, because if you're playing a player with who's opening a wide range or stealing a lot, you don't know he has like aces every time.
Right.
So it's not like every time you're gonna flop a set you're gonna get paid. So you want to pick your spots in the right positions.
Now, when you get deeper in tournaments, or obviously in late stages, sometimes you're short stacked and then you pick up that pair and you're in early position. Like, let's say you have 3 or 4 times the big blind. I mean, it's not that much. You're definitely going to get called. Are you pushing?
You're in desperation mode already if you have 3 or 4 big blinds, so you should go ahead and get all in.
Okay, well, what about like 10 to 15?
It depends on the position. The less people you have behind you, the more likely I am to push, because it's much less likely that somebody's going to wake up with a hand to call you with. If I have like 10 to 15 big blinds in early position, I'm just going to fold.
Okay.
I have too many hands behind me. I can't profitably open shove. I shouldn't be raised folding my stack. I don't want to raise call off my stack, so it's better just to fold and wait for a better spot.
That's a good point, because I myself have been in a few tournaments where we're close to the bubble. I've got a little under average and I pick up like 5s and I don't want to fold, but I don't want to limp, and if I raise and get re-raised, it's so hard though.
Depends on your stack.
That's really good advice.
Generally, if I have over 30 big blinds, no matter what position I'm in, I'm probably going to open the pot, unless I'm at a specifically aggressive table. Like if I'm in early position and I have a small pair and 30 big blinds and the table is never folding, I'm going to fold.
Okay, so you'd rather just either raise or just fold it and not try and limp later in an aggressive table?
You should basically never open limp.
Right.
In my opinion, in a tournament.
Gotcha.
Some people mix that in into their game, but I'm not sure it's optimal. And it can be argued either way. There are winning players who open limp, but I don't really do that.
That makes sense. Well, thank you so much. I feel so much more informed on playing small pairs because seriously, it is a really difficult thing,
It can be very hard. It's a hard thing to learn. A lot of people misplay small pairs.
Great. Well, thank you
I
so
probably
much.
still do sometimes.
No. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Chris Arnett with Matt Graham for Card Player TV.